Welcome to the place where we learn about and learn from the leaders in our field who are powering human creativity. I am Aaron Dworkin, and this is Arts Engines. Thanks again for joining me here on Arts Engines. Today's guest is Mark George, who serves as president and CEO of the Music Institute of Chicago. Mark, welcome to the show.
Aaron, very, very pleased to be here. Thank you.
Sure. So, I thought first and foremost, I just want to start off so that all of our viewers just have an understanding of the Music Institute and the scope of work that you do. If you could kind of just share, if you give us that quick overview of the breadth of the institution, that would be helpful.
Yeah. Well, I always start with the mission for just about everything, but we lead people toward a lifelong engagement with music through teaching and performing and service activities. Teaching is the biggest part of what we do, something like 1,500 private lesson students and another 500 in various areas. We have a beautiful concert hall, Nichols Concert Hall, where I'm sitting, where we present our own series, but also our students get to perform here a lot. And then the third part of this really is finding ways to use music as a community service. So it mostly means sending performers to places that wouldn't normally have access to live music and building relationships with students and listeners, often older adults.
Awesome. No, it's incredible. And kind of even going along that, the idea of live music, which is, foreign to so many of us for the past year. I'm curious at the Music Institute, how have things been going as it relates to COVID? How kind of have you been able to respond to that, especially given the breadth of students who you have to reach?
Sure. Well, in a lot of ways, we're very fortunate compared to our colleagues who do only performing arts. We were ready to go pretty much on video conferencing even before the pandemic hit. So we really didn't miss a beat with that. Took us a while to understand best practices. But for the most part, our students stayed with us. The teachers were resilient and creative using that technology. And it was true in the other areas too. That instead of going to visit an older adult with an 11-year-old violinist or something, we used video conferencing, FaceTime, landline phones, whatever it took.
Gotcha. And in this kind of realm, I know that some organizations, potentially some of our viewers, they've looked at it with their organizations and they're like, okay, we went online, but we just don't like it. We can't wait to just get back and everything will revert to normal, et cetera. I'm just curious, in your experiences, have you found any opportunities that have arisen? Anything that you learned, hey, because of this format, we're actually able to have a better impact or a different impact that we value and that fits our mission and our vision?
I think the pandemic made apparent in a way that things that we already knew. Video conferencing for teaching will always be with us, but it will be in its proper place. It'll be a complement to what we can do in person. It'll let us reach people in geographic areas away from here. It'll allow kids, when they have just a cold, to not force themselves to come in and take a lesson, but do it online. And I think that streaming technology falls into that category. Working from home, we have found advantages of student recitals. People from all over the world got to see their cousins and grandkids, and that was very special.
Awesome. And kind of along this line, as you're thinking about, teaching young people, how do you and how does the Music Institute view that? In other words, as we think about the role of a musician in society, how is it evolving, and does that then evolve the necessity of what and how we teach?
Sure. Well, many people know us for our most advanced students who go on to conservatories and professional careers. The most noteworthy, Rachel Barton-Pine, Jenny Coe, and others. But most of our students are here as an avocation. And I had come to look at this as that I'm preparing people to send into the world. And they're a little more sensitive. They understand a language that not most people understand. They are empathic and sensitive. And they understand, maybe most importantly, that what they're doing is something of value and they can use it to help people.
Wow. Yeah, I think it's so important, especially that kind of broader sense of how we're preparing young people, and that it's not just playing the note. We need them to play the notes and we need them to play them in tune and in the right rhythms, but we really are doing more. Our responsibility is greater than just that.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that I've thought has been really interesting, the Sphinx organization is, about to go into its 25th anniversary. I see at that time and what people are doing with the organization, that there's this perspective of, how things were, 20, 25 years ago, and that breadth gives a sense of context and a sense of purpose moving forward. The Music Institute is about to celebrate its 90th anniversary. So an even greater context. And so just curious, number one, how are you thinking about that in terms of celebration, and also in terms of the context of the work that is to be done now moving forward?
Well, we've tried to celebrate in absolutely every little thing that we can do. It's a good time to look back at your past and to envision your future. But we had a very tumultuous present at this anniversary. So we were, for a while, had to jump in and be very creative to make sure we reached our 91st birthday and then look forward to 100. But, I started with the mission, and it really does get back to that. I did look back in history and read a lot and visited archives. And there are three things that seem to be threads for me. One of them was accessibility. From the beginning, the school evolved. It widened the group of people that it could impact, from a very, very small group to, I think, what we are still striving for now, really an all-inclusive group. And they were very innovative in methods of teaching. And I think our version of that may be technology. And then the other thread is just excellence, this basic thought of, if you're going to do something, let's try to do it well. Yeah,
absolutely. No, it's so critically important. I think relevant to a number of our partners here. So I want to kind of just, part of this show is really about administrative leadership, and how do we lead, and what are the types of challenges that we might encounter, and how do we overcome those? And so I was curious for you, there's obviously in this past year been some days that I can't imagine where, like, what's happening? How are we even going to be able to solve this problem, et cetera? But in those toughest of days, how do you address it? How do you find inspiration, motivation, the strength, and even the courage to address the challenges that arise for leaders in our field?
Right. Well, when this was thrust upon us, there were some times that seemed dark at first. And when it was clear that our lives and our livelihoods, everything was at stake. I'm really trying to be a fact-based person. So I did my research and I figured out what I thought we could do. But more importantly is the communication and the leading part. Sometimes people want to be told what they need to do. Other times they need to hear that what they're doing is important and that they need to keep doing it and find inspiration and stay motivated. So that was a big part of my portfolio over the past year, is communicating with parents and students and teachers. And we know the whole world is just exhausted.
Yeah. No, it is, I think, critically important. So unfortunately, we're just about out of time, but as you look forward in this next year with the, anniversary going on and with us hopefully light at the end of the tunnel and really coming out of COVID into the quote unquote new normal, is there any one or two things that you would say that you're most looking forward to, that as you think about over the next 365 days, you're like, it's this thing and that thing. I'm so looking forward to it. And if we get these right, it's going to be a great year.
Yeah, I think we have been working on that thread of widening access. So we're really getting prepared to make some big investments in the city of Evanston, first of all, where our headquarters would be, which is a spectacularly diverse city and a very progressive city. But in self-reflection, we haven't been reaching all of it. And so we're doing a lot of things to make sure that we connect with people and organizations. And I think my vision is that eventually this organization, everyone could look at it from wherever they are and see a little bit of themselves in it so that they want to come and participate, to learn music, to listen to music, and basically improve their lives.
Wow. Well, Mark George, you truly are one of the arts engines who is powering human creativity in our world. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Aaron. You're the best.